Today, we're going to do a review on the Range. This is a 2015 Range Rover Sport HSE. As always, I'm going to take you all around the vehicle, take you all inside the vehicle, carry the vehicle for a drive, and give you all my thoughts along the way. But we're going to do something different. I'm going to give you all some staggering figures to put into perspective how different a Range Rover is. Starting with the tires, which are 275 45 21s. Each of the four tires cost 3800 TT. Putting that into perspective, if you have a regular vehicle that uses, let's say, 195 60 15, 195 65 15, you pay probably about 450 475 for, let's say, a high fly tire, which would mean that just one Range Rover tire can purchase not 4 but 8 tires for a regular vehicle. Now let's look at the brake rotors, because the brake rotors at 380 millimeters is just half an inch in diameter smaller than the rim size of a Toyota Aqua, which comes with 15-inch rims. So if you have a 14-inch rim, then the rotors are bigger than your rim. And it needs all that stopping power, because though it may not look it, it's actually 4,727 pounds. Putting that into perspective, the Range Rover Sport is heavier than a full-size SUV like the Kia Sorento. Now, you may be saying to yourself, with all that weight, it probably turns like shit, tons of body roll. You would be wrong, because the Range Rover comes with air suspension, which allows the car to level itself while you are taking a turn. So you really never feel that 4,700 pounds of weight, even when you are taking a turn. The biggest downside to it is if it fails, and for whatever reason you have to change the entire assembly, it can run you between $2,500 and $2,800. But I think in this case, the pros outweigh the cons, because it allows the vehicle to do things that a normal vehicle just can't do. For example, at a single touch of a button, you can drop the vehicle from its normal height. As you can see, it's going down here. This is called access height. You're fitting into tight places. Or you can raise it back to its normal height. This is how the vehicle will be if you're driving day to day. Or you can even raise it further than that to get even more ground clearance if you're going off-roading. But the cool thing about this is the exact system that the Range Rover uses to keep itself level in the corners. You are taking a left turn. The way that the vehicle wants to go to the right, to weigh the right side down. What the Range Rover will do is prop the right side up, keeping the vehicle level in the turn. This is an amazing thing to feel. It's like you are expecting tons of body roll. You're expecting to feel the mass more than you actually feel it. You do feel it, but you don't feel it as much as you would think. Now, even though it has large 21-inch wheels with low-profile tires, you don't get any undue undulations that you would get with a normal vehicle with low-profile tires. It just glides over the road as if you are gliding over wool. Look at the wheel articulation. It's almost as if the vehicle is able to see ahead and adjust its suspension to suit what is coming. It's really a magnificent thing to behold. But getting back to some other facts about the Range Rover, it has a 27.7 gallon tank, which is roughly about 106 liters. We use liters down here, obviously. So the fullness from bone dry would be $808 TT. But obviously, you would never have a bone dry tank. You will always have some gas in reserve. So from about 5 liters, which is about the time the gas light normally comes on, you are looking at about $730. So $730 to full this from bone dry to full with premium. And obviously, you can shave about $100 off the bill if you use super, but don't be ridiculous. Now at the rear, you have a dual exhaust setup going on. Now this is stock. Nothing was done to this. This is how it rolled out to the showroom. This is how it is. But listen to how this sounds. But you'll definitely hear more on that exhaust note later on in the video. For now, let's take a look inside the Range and see what's so special inside there. And right off the bat, let's start with the soft touch materials, because you all always hear me talking about soft touch materials. Everything you can see and touch inside here has some kind of leather feel to it or some kind of spongy feel. On top here, it's soft. The bottom where your arms are, where your elbows go, it's soft. Below, where you would think would be hard, has a soft touch material as well. And this is really what separates premium vehicles from everyday vehicles. They don't skimp on the materials. Everything has a premium feel to it. Everything. For example, even places where the average person's hand wouldn't be, they have no business feeling around down there, they made sure and put soft touch materials down there as well. For example, below the seat, where in every other vehicle the seat will just come to an end and you'll get like a piece of hard plastic or just metal sticking out, there's actually a soft velvet type material at the bottom there. Just in case you want to pass your hand there to make sure that the entire interior is soft touch and premium materials, yeah, you can do it, and you can feel the premium materials under there as well. Now you do get rear AC vents, however, there are no temperature or fan speed controls at the rear. All you get are the switches to turn the vents on or off. Below that you have a pocket, and the next pocket below that, and then you have a power outlet. You can plug in a charger with a USB cord. There are no USB outlets at the back here at all, which in a vehicle at this price point is rather disappointing. But looking up at the heavens, you can see the all glass roof. The roof is glass from the front passenger section all the way to the rear passenger section. However, only the front half lifts up and pushes back, but it still looks really cool. You look up and you just see glass. Now you can have it with just the sunshade pushed back and you're looking through the glass with no air coming in, or you can have the sunshade pushed back with the glass in front open so air is coming in. It gives the cabin a really airy feel, or you can just have it closed up altogether like I'm doing here. The only thing I would change is that even when the sunshade is fully closed, you can still see light seeping in, given the fact that the material for the sunshade isn't really thick. So even when it's closed, you can still see light seeping in from the top, which I don't think should be. When it's closed, it should be a completely dark spot on top there. But getting back to the premium materials, because even the door handle has a very solid feel to it. It feels like they machined this door handle from a single piece of aluminum. It does have a cool, solid feel to it. Even the lighting at the rear is a complete assembly. As you can see, there are 3 elements going on there, and it's all encased in that same aluminum brush metal type thing. And the lights have no switch. You just lightly touch anywhere around the lights, and it will either turn on or off or get brighter or dimmer. After all, it's a Range Rover. What do you expect? An actual switch? No. Now at the rear of the vehicle in the trunk, because it doesn't have a trunk, is where manufacturers oftentimes go skimpy on the soft touch materials. But that's in a Range Rover, because as you can see, even behind the seats, even at the sides, all around there, soft touch materials. You lift up this rubber cover to get to the spare tire. It does have a full size spare tire, and down inside where the spare tire is has a nice pattern. When you pass your hand inside there, you can feel it's not soft touch, not suede or anything, but it has a nice feel to it. Now at the rear here, you have a power outlet in case you want to plug in a power tool or whatever you want to plug in there. And above, there are 2 bright LED lights on the tailgate. At night time, they shine straight down and illuminate the general area behind there. Now really strange is that they have handles here, but this trunk is an electric trunk. So you push the button and it closes, or you push the button and it opens. But there are handles here. I'm not sure what those handles are for. I never figured them out, but it's there just in case. I don't know, it probably looks cool or something. Now stepping into the front of the vehicle, the premium feel and look, fit and finish all continues in the front. And also that brushed aluminum feel. For example, around the AC vents, you can see the aluminum going around there. Around by the center console coming down, you can see the brushed aluminum coming down there. And like I said, it feels like it was machined from an actual piece of aluminum. You knock it and it feels solid. It doesn't feel like it's plastic that has been painted to look like aluminum. It's actual aluminum. And continuing with the suede feel, even in the driver and passenger's footwell, it continues because you have this suede material. Even if you look all the way up as far as the eye can see, at no point in time will you see an exposed bolt or an exposed rivet or a wire hanging down. No, it's all covered up and all behind that soft touch material. Even opening the glove box, there's no big manual button to press. It's a small circular button. You can see it right here. You gently touch it and the glove box just pops open. And it pops open with that kind of dampened feeling. It's just there. You close it back and you would never know that the glove box is there because it fits flush. You pull this center thing here to close the cup holders and it feels like metal. Now this actual center part is not metal. It just gives that metallic feel given the fact that it's so solid. Now obviously it's a Range Rover, so it has a mini chiller. Now this fridge isn't going to cool things to deep freeze level, but it's going to keep a drink or two pretty cool if you put it in there long enough. Here you can see a power outlet, finally a USB input and an aux cord. Above that you can see some controls. Starting from the bottom, you have electronic park and brake. It is common in most vehicles. Then you have a traction control. In the middle of that, you have your height adjust. Like I showed you all, you can raise the vehicle up or down. To the right of that, you have your ASL button, which is the automatic speed limiter. So you can set it and the vehicle will accelerate to that speed, but it wouldn't cross that speed. Above that, to the left, you have your hill descent button. Now right around here is where we get into the off-road prowess of the Range Rover. People seem to forget that the Range Rovers were originally off-road kings. They have now been transitioned into luxury vehicles, but they still have the same off-road prowess, just in case you want to go off-roading with them. So right here, you have your hill descent button, you have your dial to change from gravel to snow to rut, and then the car's computer will then in turn change the driving characteristics, whether it be altering the four-wheel drive system, the traction, the height, the ride quality, all of that to get yourself out of wherever you may have found yourself going up, down, or stuck in. Now above that, you have the head unit, or what we call the deck, but it's not really a deck, it's an infotainment unit, and this really ain't too special. I mean, it's an infotainment unit. It has different features. You have your Bluetooth, you have your maps, which don't work down here, you have to put in a disc. All things that you have seen in many other vehicles before. Nothing too special here. But the camera layout I really like, and I really wish that this had a larger screen to fully take advantage of how the camera placements are in this vehicle. For example, you got your T-junction view, so you can push out a bit and see if cars are coming from your left or your right. I think more vehicles need to have this because many of them have 360 cameras, but they don't implement this feature. Then you have your curb view, which I love because this is a large vehicle. It's sometimes underestimated how large this vehicle is, but you can precisely see where your left and your front wheels are. You know, I was driving on one of those narrow streets in Sawa some time back, and this really helped me because there are people on both sides. And if you know anything about those streets of Sawa and Tunapuna, these back roads are really, really narrow. So imagine a narrow street like that with people standing on both sides. This camera really helped me navigate those tight corners. I mean, granted, you can do it with cameras, but it always helps to have technology helping you along. Now, there are other variations to the camera. For example, you can look straight back, you can look straight back at a wide angle, and because it has 360 view, it actually gives you edge-to-edge coverage. There are no blind spots whatsoever when you put it in its widest view. I love it, I love it. But most of all, I love that curve view, especially on a vehicle this big. If you're driving a small vehicle like a Fila Wagon or a Corolla or a Mitsubishi Lancer or whatever, you don't really need these cameras much. But if you're driving a large vehicle like this, it really helps in tight places. Moving over to the instrument cluster, and obviously it's a Range Rover, so there are no really dials and stuff on this particular generation. It's all glass. And back in 2015 when this came out, all glass displays were really a novelty. I mean, now you're seeing it on things like the Tucson and the Hyundai Elantra, but back then, having a car with an all glass display was really a novelty. Granted, this is really, really well implemented. Everything is crisp, it's sharp, it's easily readable in the daytime, and it's something about the font. The font just looks premium. And as you can hear by the clicks of the buttons, it has a really reassuring click. I'm telling you all, everything about the vehicle is just premium. You click it, you can tell a button was just clicked. These are the steering wheel controls, by the way. They have a really, really premium and reassuring feel. When you click it, it's like, yeah, this button was well engineered. Moving over to the powered features. Obviously, it's a Range Rover, so everything is powered. Powered mirrors, powered steering wheel column, you can push it out. Well, it's called tilt and telescopic, so in, out, up, down, fully powered. The two front seats also fully powered. Obviously, you can change the backrest up, down. You can change the base that you actually sit on. You can tilt that up, down. You can push it forward, back. You can even adjust your lumbar support. Again, obviously, it's a Range Rover, so you would expect it to be fully powered. But for me, the biggest disappointment has to have been the speakers. Not that there aren't enough speakers, because there's 1, 2, 3 on the door alone. Then over on the dash, there's a small speaker grill over here. So each side, you are looking at least 3, 4 speakers to the front, 3 speakers to the back. As you can see, 1, 2 here and a large speaker grill below. So the vehicle has enough speakers, but it seems like it doesn't have the amp to push these speakers. Now, I can't play any song because of copyright issues, but it doesn't have the sound quality you would expect for a vehicle in this price point and a vehicle that has so many speakers. But then again, this model was purchased locally from the local dealership, so there's no doubt in my mind that had it been purchased internationally, it would have most definitely came with like a 350 watt amplifier or something. Now moving to some nighttime footage, everywhere that marked Range Rover has a little LED light around it. Just to remind you that this is not just your typical vehicle, it's a Range Rover and it has the LED around it. And aside from that, underneath both side mirrors, when you unlock the vehicle, you can see a mini Range Rover Sport on the ground illuminated. It's not just a generic Range Rover, it's the actual Range Rover you are driving. It is shaped the exact same way, everything. It looks pretty cool and it reminds all onlookers that this is something special. It's a Range Rover. But all of that is well and good. Features, soft touch materials, premium feel, but how does it drive? Well, let's get in and see. Now, before we take it out on the road and drive, I want you all to listen to something. Listen to this closely. I have never been inside of a water tank before, but this is the closest to a water tank feel you can get, because not only does the door close with a reassuring thud like most European vehicles, but it's also heavy and solid, so you feel like you are inside this cocoon. Once you close those doors, you are quite literally in your own world. You don't hear anything going on outside, you feel safe. Once those doors close, you feel like you are inside of a battle tank. But let's finally take it out on the road and see how the Range Rover drives. Now, I'm not sure what was taking place with the gyro inside the camera. It was just shaky. It's not this shaky in real, and I'm just too lazy to re-record the driving sequence. But the question is, what does the Range Rover Sport drive like? And I'm tempted to say it drives as you would expect, but the question is, what do you expect? Because after all, it's a 4,700 pound vehicle. So is it sluggish? Is it quick? The answer is, it may surprise you, because under the hood is a 3-liter V6 supercharged engine producing 340 horsepower and just shy of 330 foot-pounds of torque. For the non-car people out there, that was just a fancy way of saying yes, it has the power to pull its weight. It's not sluggish one bit. And the thing about it is, it's supercharged. So it has that torque low down. You can just be trundling along the road just there, and then you decide, you know what, I want to go a bit faster, and the torque is just there instantly. It's like you want it, it's there. Often hear the saying, there's no replacement for displacement, and that is true even when it comes to the sound, because sure, you can have a 2-liter engine pushing 300 horsepower the same way with a turbocharger, but you don't get the same level of grunt. You don't hear the sound that you would hear from a V6 supercharged engine. You all got the point on the exhaust. Can't push it too much, the road's narrow, there are speed limits, the place getting dark, so I can't push it around these corners too much. But it's one of those vehicles that you wish you were living in a country that had the Autobahn, where you can just open it out just to see what its max speed would be like. However, you do feel the mass. You do feel, even though there's a bit of suspension trickery taking place, it does have the power. You cannot trick the laws of physics forever. You do realize at some point it's a heavy vehicle. It's a vehicle with a lot of mass. However, you don't feel it nearly as much as you would think you would feel it. But the vehicle is most comfortable when you are just driving along the road, cruising along like a lord up high, watching over everything that is taking place around you. And you see, all that is why people buy Range Rovers, because sure, it can throw a check engine light at any moment. It's a Range Rover. You can get an error, a sensor can go bad. But is that inherent with Range Rovers, or is it inherent with technology as a whole? Because after all, the more sensors you put into something is the greater likelihood you have of something going bad. But is that in itself wrong? I don't think so. I think you buy a vehicle to put a smile on your face. And not only that, you buy a vehicle that makes life easier. Even the ergonomics makes life easier. Because yes, there's an armrest to your left, but there's also this large flat surface by the window here, by the windowsill, that you can just rest your hand on, and it just fits natural. See where my elbow is? See how I'm holding the steering wheel? All of this, the ergonomics of the vehicle is designed to make life and driving easier for you and the passenger. And sure, it is a Range Rover after all. It's nowhere near as reliable as a Toyota Prado. It can and will throw a check engine light when you least expect it. But can you put a price on happiness? While you have the vehicle and it's working, it's going to put a smile to your face. And I think in life, that is all that matters. After all, if you could already afford to buy the vehicle, clearly you can afford to maintain said vehicle. If you won this in a lottery, it's going to send you broke. Let's get out of the way. 4 tires alone and that's it. You can't buy nothing for the rest of the year again. But if you can actually afford to buy this, it means you are at a high enough status in life where you want to experience the finer things in life. And that to me is the most important thing. Well, that and having a supercharged V6 engine under your hood.